this is Frode and welcome back to Actualize Notes TV. I'm glad you're here. Today we have another great book, Natural Born Heroes by Christopher McDougall. Natural Born Heroes, subtitle, Mastering the Lost Secrets of Strength and Endurance. Christopher McDougall is a great storyteller and he's the author of the book Born to Rhyme. And in this book he weaves two fascinating narratives, or several, but two with a focus on two. One is about how some unlikely British resistance fighters on Crete kidnapped a German general during World War II and had to bring him up through the rugged mountains, and their feat of endurance was just insane. And the other narrative is about the natural training movement, being fit to be useful. That's what we'll talk more about in our second big idea. And I got this book because I wanted to actualize my energy, and I believed it would be helpful for me as I'm stepping up to become a world-class athlete. That's the goal for next year. I'm going to compete in Spartan races, and my goal is, as I said, to compete in the World Championships. We'll see how that goes. And if you're into mastering the lost secrets of strength and endurance, as the subtitle says, I think you'll love the book. For now, let's have a look at 5 of my favorite big ideas from the book. Practical ideas, that is. The first one is hero. So, Christopher makes it really clear that when the Greeks wanted to come up with the heroic ideal, they didn't choose a word that meant dies trying or massacres bad guys. They come up with the word heros. H-E-R-O-S, which means protector. And a protector has strength for 2. Not only physically, but also mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, which we'll talk more about soon. And the hero, one of his or her defining qualities was love. They had a deep level of compassion for other human beings that they could serve, that they could be heroic for. And all of the great teachers and great human beings through the ages echo this wisdom. For example, our great philosophers, Socrates, Lao Tzu, Confucius, and Aurelius all had a deep level of compassion for human beings and spent most of their time serving other humans. And the last point I want to make is that heroism is a skill. Christopher tells us that the Greeks believed heroism isn't some innate virtue that you just have, something that you're born with. It's something you can train through doing certain things again and again and again, behaving in certain ways and training in certain ways. And this was echoed by Lycurgus, the ancient lawgiver of Sparta, almost 3,000 years ago. And when he demonstrated how if you take 2 dogs from the same parents and breed them in different ways, one for hunting, another just for comfort and leisure, it can eat whatever it wants, then the skills of those 2 dogs will be insanely different. The hunting dog will of course run after wild animals. The other dog will just go for bones so he can get some treats. He concluded with that in front of his citizens, and having done that experiment, by saying that education is more effective than birth for producing noble behavior. Now, a leading researcher on success, Carol Dweck, has proven this through science in her book Mindset, where she talks about the growth and the fixed mindset. People with a growth mindset believe that you can develop your qualities like personality and your abilities through efforts. Those with a fixed mindset believe that you only have what you're born with. If you're not good at something, there's no use trying, because that will make you look like a fool if you're not good at it, and you won't get any better. But, as we say, heroism, abilities, and qualities, and everything that we want to develop in our lives are skills that we do through doing certain movements or behaviors again and again and again. So, the hero is a protector. They are loving and they know that heroism is a skill that you can develop. See, in a way, you can start developing your heroic skills. Next big idea, be fit to be useful. Christopher talks a lot about a fascinating French guy who was a leader of the old school natural training movement. And he had developed a program called the Natural Method, where he focused a lot on functional body movements, so you could be able to save someone physically in, for example, by carrying someone out of a burning house or swimming someone to shore. And Georges Hebert, I think his name was, could summarize his entire training philosophy in one sentence of 5 words. Be fit to be useful. And that's, Christopher talks a lot about the physical side of being a hero and being useful. But this also goes for our entire lives. All aspects of our lives. If we want to be heroic and useful, we need to be strong physically, by training our bodies, mentally, by training our mind through meditation and learning and studying and all that goodness, emotionally, by resisting our impulses to do the easiest thing and instead go for the hard thing, and spiritually. Having the undogged determination that we are on our own spiritual journey through life, we have our own purpose, and we don't let it get sidetracked by what all other people are doing. So, be fit to be useful, or simply be useful. And that's something that goes for parents like fathers, mothers, entrepreneurs, teachers, athletes, artists, whatever. If we want to be useful, we need to develop our strength physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Do you see any way you can start doing this? Alright, some of my favorites. I train daily. I meditate for at least 20 minutes daily. I seek to resist my impulses daily. And I'm on my own hero's journey of helping people actualize. Alright, third big idea. Total power and knowledge. So, Christopher talks a lot about the misconception that most of us have of heroes. We think there are these huge men with bulging muscles who can lift huge boulders over their heads, and who are pretty much bulked up on steroids. But he says that Hercules was not this insane he-man that we come to assume. Imagining him on top of a mountain, lifting a huge boulder or something with his muscles bulging out of every square inch of his body. Pindar, the ancient poet, actually said about Hercules that he was of short stature and an unbending will. He was suffered the little man syndrome, which means he was short, but he had an unbending will. When he chose to do something, he went all in, and he would do that, no matter what happened. And the other strength he had was his openness to learning. He was willing to take advice from anyone, even women. Christopher talks about in the book. And this gave him an edge in the art of pancration, an ancient art of fighting. Or it was kind of a more raw and brutal form of wrestling or boxing, where you were all in and had no boxing gloves, and kind of that. So, total power, and the word pancration means total power and knowledge, not just total power, Christopher emphasizes in the book. So, do you see any way you can balance your body and mind? In his book, How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci, Michael Gelb, a leading expert on creativity, has researched and tried to discover the principles that Leonardo da Vinci lived by. And one of those principles is corporalita. Corporalita, which is basically balancing your body and your mind. So how can you balance your body and mind? So my favorite ways: I train daily. I do 90-minute deep work time blocks where I'm completely focused on studying and learning and embodying these ideas. Then I take breaks regularly, where I take walks, and I also love doing 100 or more burpees every single day. I do sets of 10 just between breaks, so I can keep my energy high. Alright, how can you develop balance of body and mind? And strength is a fourth big idea. This is a fascinating one. Christopher talks about this tissue that we all have, elastic tissue that wraps from the bottom, from our toes, all the way up to our forehead, which connects all of our muscles together. And he says that most of us think that you can see whether a person has raw strength on their muscles, the size of their muscles. But he says that no, there's something else at play here. It's a tissue called fascia profunda, which goes around our whole bodies. To imagine it, you can think of the gooey film that you see on chicken breasts or around other types of meat, that thin, slimy film. And he says that this is basically what gives us raw power. And he uses the example of Bruce Lee. And the principle here is really about explosiveness. Instead of relying on huge muscles, you rely on explosive movements. And he uses the example of Bruce Lee, who was a so-so martial artist before he started practicing Wing Chun, which was all about the fascia snap of fighting instead of raw muscle power, where you would just brute yourself and conquer the others through your muscle power. And when he did that, he perfected it, and eventually he was able to do his 2-inch punch, just a few inches away from his opponent, and he can send a man twice his own body weight flying across the room, because he had developed such explosiveness through his fascia. He would actually start leveraging the force up from his big toe or something, twisting his body and using his whole body as force. So to get this more practical, I've started using this to be more explosive while doing my push-ups, while doing my burpees and training for Spartan race, and while running uphill, doing quick explosive steps instead of long steps that just tire out your muscles even faster. And my question is, how can you use the knowledge of fascia, explosiveness, to increase your raw power? Alright, this was a little bit hidden in for fitness. And the last one is 2. Christopher says that the heroes learned to train their bodies to burn fat as fuel instead of relying on quick bursts of sugar like most of us do today. And the way you train your body to burn fat as fuel is to split in 2 ways. Or you have to think about 2 things. You need to think about supply, what you take into your body, and demand. How your body is going to burn that fat. So supply is all about, you have to limit yourself of all sugar, of all fast-acting carbs. Because all they do is spike your insulin levels and cause you to store up fat in your body instead of to burn it. And it doesn't give you energy for a long time. And it gives you these highs when you eat a meal and really sharp lows where you just feel awful after a few hours. But if you start eating fat, that's a lot more slow burning. So you won't feel these cravings for sweets all the time like you do when you eat carbs. And you'll also feel a lot better, more stronger, more energetic and more powerful. And you won't be hungry as much. Alright, and demand. You need to train your body through keeping your heart rate in the fat burning zone. I'm going really quickly through this now, and you can check out the book for more. Fat burning zone is basically take the number 180, detract your age. If you've been, I'm age 20, so that equals 160. Talking about the heart rate here during our workouts, runs, and if you've been training a lot, you add 5. No, I mean, if you've been training almost nothing during the last 2 years, you take away 5, so that would be 155. If you've been training like 4 times a week, you add 0. And if you've been training actively and you're training for a competition, you add 5. That's me, so I add 5. 165 beats per minute is my fat burning zone, where I will train my body to use fat as fuel instead of carbs. That means that you can go on for a lot longer with more energy without having these highs and lows like you get with carbs. So I'm on my 4th day of eating basically no carbs. I'm just eating salads, olive oils, almonds, and more things like that. And I'm feeling more strong, powerful, and energized than ever before. So check out the book for more on that, but it's a really fascinating idea. Cut your intake of carbs, increase your intake of fat, healthy fats like olive oils and almonds, and so on, and keep your heart rate within the fat burning zone of 180 minus your age. That's the pulse you want while you're running. Just slow down if it goes over, and you want to stay at it or a bit below it. Okay, that's fat. Strength, use explosiveness to increase your raw strength instead of relying on muscle power. Total power and knowledge. And by the way, I'm jumping a lot higher with my burpees after starting with explosive burpees instead of just doing it slowly and fatiguing myself out. So that's a cool effect. Total power and knowledge. How can you balance your body and mind? Be fit to be useful. How can you be useful by strengthening your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual strength? And hero. The hero is a protector who gains godlike power because of her compassion for other human beings. And heroism is a skill that you can build. How are you going to do it? Starting today. Okay, that's a quick look at Natural Born Heroes by Christopher McDougall. Thank you very much, Christopher. I highly enjoyed the book. Now, what's the one idea that jumped out at you, that resonated most with you, and that would have the most positive impact on your life 5 years from now, if you did it daily? And what can you do daily to start that adventure? Okay, get on that. Now, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Looking forward to share more wisdom with you soon. Let's actualize our potential so we can give our loving gifts in greatest service to the world. See ya.